Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come to where I'm from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated. One thing is you have to use that microphone so people can hear you. You know how mics work.
Yes. Hello.
Nice to see you, Adam Green.
Hi. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on. Man, I've been in the universe of Aladdin.
Really?
Since I knew you were coming on.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a fun place to hang out in, man.
Yeah, it's called a regular world. It's called a regular world. That world.
That's the regular world. This is the weird world. Is it?
Yeah. I mean, I've been using that title for it in fiction I've been writing.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So in that world with all the symbols and those particular colors, we call it regular world, and has a history that Mario is sort of the Jesus of the Nintendo.
Nintendo records.
Yeah, and so it's sort of the debate is if Mario is the sort of first avatar, the sort of first video game character of humans, then in a future world, like 2,000 years in the future, would people debate whether or not he was actually a historical plumber, or if he was like a real person, or if he was just a character?
This goes right to the whole thing I saw Elon Musk talk about, are we living in a simulation?
Oh, right.
That whole simulation theory that's sweeping the nation, that this already is a video game. So in that way, if this already is a video game, then of course Mario will be a historical figure.
Right, yeah.
Without a question of a doubt.
Yeah, he's the test case, the first, the origin. But I saw a new Pixar movie. I was just in Disney World with my daughter, and they were showing the latest, there was a short film that had it was almost like with a seagull, and all the little grains of sand were accounted for, and it was much more vivid than than a normal Pixar thing. It was it made you feel okay, this, I get it. This could really be a video game. We're
oh, for real?
I mean, it's we probably are in some sort of a video game.
I'm open-minded to all possibilities. I think it's very possible that this is the nature of this thing is wild.
But then it's but then you have to change your definition of video game. Then you're okay, well, so if we're in a video game, then maybe a video game isn't what I was thinking it was anyway.
Right.
So it's then you're back at the same thing. You still have to live your life, video game or not. It's still your life.
Yeah, I still would like to get an extra player.
Yeah, that'd be good.
Man, but Aladdin is killer, dude.
Thank you.
I'm a big fan of it, and your album that goes with it is fantastic as well.
Thanks.
Great words, and it's just it's fantastic.
So that was it was filmed on for people that are listening to the podcast that don't know, it's a film. It's like my own version of Aladdin. Yeah. And the lamp is a 3D printer. And so the movie it takes place in a paper mache world, which is built in a warehouse in Red Hook, and we had to build.
I used to live there.
Oh, you used to live in Red Hook?
Yeah, for 10 years.
For people that can't picture it, by the way, if you want to watch this movie, you can just watch it on YouTube. Just type Adam Green's Aladdin into YouTube.
You really should do yourself that favor and watch it, because it's
the visuals alone are,
dude, it's
I think groundbreaking.
Thanks. What? So for people that are just listening, basically it looks like you're in a cartoon, because the people are in a paper mache environment that is it looks like they're in a cartoon, and it's painted by me and you paint as well, right?
I paint too.
Yeah. So it's fun to make sculptures, and to me this paper mache gave me the opportunity to make sculptures that look like my drawings.
And I heard you say paper mache is a very forgiving medium. I think that's kind of interesting. What do you mean by that?
It just kind of dries in whatever shape that that it wants to, and then so there's no way to really at least for the way I was making it, it wasn't ever going to be something other than just sort of
paper mache.
Yeah, it just looks it looks
you
just
can't
kind of
get too
critical
out about paper mache.
Yeah, it's not. It's blunt. When you draw with a crayon, that's forgiving too. You draw with a crayon, whatever you draw, it looks like it's crayon. It doesn't look like you messed up. You can't really look like you messed up too much with a crayon.
That's true.
That's what paper mache is like.
Yeah. So how long did it take you to build that world and make that film? And did you film that all on an iPhone? Is that right? Or
Well, no, the Wrong Ferrari was filmed. My first movie was filmed all on an iPhone.
Okay.
It was the first iPhone that did video. So it was like 2000. It was a really long time ago. And so the new movie or the Aladdin movie, which is 2016, was shot on a on a real red camera.
Yeah, it looked good.
Yeah,
it looks like that actually.
Yeah,
I was surprised. Okay, good. I got that confused.
That would be
then.
cool. But probably the new iPhone looks probably like
decent.
Yeah,
but it looks better than that.
Maybe
it does. It actually looks like.
Well, it's crazy. I was just
legit.
just like deep frame rate talk or something. But like I was watching with my brother's house. I was watching like a James Bond movie, and it was adjusted like the frame rate for whatever the new TVs are, and it looks so weird.
It looks too real. Like,
yeah,
it's like it looks like it's gone all the way back to looking like a video camera.
It looks like a video camera. Yeah. Yeah. So I don't understand.
It's like not good looking.
But I think with Aladdin, the director of photography, Dima Dubson, he chose to do it at a film frame rate, so it kind of has a film look to it.
It looks nice. Yeah. So. And
it's an all-star cast. That's bananas.
Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah, the thing is, so it's very like it has Macaulay Culkin is in the movie. Francesco Clemente
that's amazing.
Plays the genie.
How'd you get him? Are you friends with him? Or?
Well,
he's a great painter. For those,
I met him through. Yeah, I learned how to draw from. He was one of the people I would look at when I was started to draw.
Yeah.
But Alia Shawkat, who plays my sister in the movie. I play Aladdin.
Mm-hmm.
Alia Shawkat, who people would know from a lot of movies. She was just in a movie called Duck Butter, but people know her for like Arrested Development.
Okay, yeah.
And she introduced me to him. Like I told her that I wanted somebody who was like a legend to play the genie, and and I thought Francesco seemed genie-like. I had this sort of like this moment of being like, who's like a genie in New York, and I was like, oh, yeah, Clemente's like a genie, and so I went to his studio and. I was super intimidated.
Well, yeah, I was going to ask you, is that intimidating? I was
definitely. Like, definitely, she sort of sent me to this address.
Been intimidated.
And, you get like this kind of walk-up elevator, and he sort of greeted me in some kind of robe.
Oh, really? He kicks it in a robe.
Well,
he's like answering the door in a robe. Okay,
no,
bro.
It wasn't like a robe. Like it wasn't like a Hugh Hefner. It's like Francesco. He looks like like Klimt or something. He has he wears like so he has a very intense stare, and he was kind of quiet. So I really thought maybe he really doesn't like me. I don't know, or I didn't know what he thought. And so I was we were like reading through the script, and like I was showing him drawings and sculptures and pictures. I was doing like all this the stuff that you do to try to convince somebody to do the movie. But then at some point I was playing him music from the film. Yeah. And at some point I thought to myself, like, I should probably leave because maybe I'm
overstaying.
Maybe I'm overstaying. So I started making my way to the elevator, and he really hadn't said a lot. I mean, actually, he laughed at a couple of lines, so I was like, oh, maybe he thinks it's kind of funny. Yeah. And I was literally leaving, and I was like, so yeah, like I'll call you or something. I don't know. And he goes, I will be your genie.
That's amazing. He's really good too. He's like a humor when he plays the part too. Like, yeah, he's funny.
He's great. He's great.
So did you leave after he said, I will be your genie?
Yeah. I left, and I was like so ecstatic. I called my wife. Yeah. I was so happy.
And then you probably should have written a song called I Will Be Your Genie.
I will be your genie.
I mean, that's like, I'll be your man. But like,
well, it's crazy because genie is part slave and part God. It's a weird dynamic,
That is so funny. Yeah. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
You're right.
And it's also a half being. Like there's a lot of things about it.
But in this case, he actually sleeps with your girlfriend in the film, which is also funny because I was thinking about it on my walk over here. Like, what are the genie rules? Like, can a genie? I guess a genie isn't necessarily loyal to you. Can like sleep with your girlfriend.
But the funny thing is also like typically not even depicted with a bottom half. But
right, exactly. How did that even work? Plus, she liked it. She
loved
even
it.
said,
"Yeah, she loved it." But the thing is, the genie, like, or because if you do write your own version of Aladdin, you're probably not doing it because you want to like retell the Disney version or something. I mean, like,
let's hope not. Yeah.
I was kind of exploring what I thought about what a genie was, and the more you learn about it or the more you look into it, I mean, the word genius is the same root word as genie, and
that's so
and it has
cool.
like it has all the genie, like it is almost like, I think it's like part of your personality as a person. Like everybody has their own
genie,
and like, you know, you have to like use that with the other parts of your intelligence to try to, you know, make your way in the world. And sometimes you need to look at the genie and you're like, what do you got for me, genie? You know, like,
right.
But I mean, like that's at the birth. And so in a way, like, you know, there's a Rimbaud poem from the Illuminations where he says the prince was the genie was the prince. That was kind of my inspiration originally.
Wow.
You know what I mean? Just realizing that like,
wait, the prince was the genie was the
prince.
Yeah,
it's in one of his
I didn't know that.
Yeah, one of his last poems.
That's amazing.
But I think that the idea that there are like, you know, these different psychological apparatuses that are sort of, you know, if you do songwriting or anything, like these things are like, you're basically like negotiating with yourself, like, you know, through
God.
So I almost feel like, you know, if I give myself a dramatic mission. I'm like, I'm going to make Aladdin, and then I try to, you know, take the different parts of my personality, and they're all the different characters, and I just try to negotiate myself through the myth, you know?
Dude, that was awesome what you just said. We could unpack that. Because the whole thing, you said a bunch of things, like the whole being an artist is negotiating with yourself. That's
I think so.
Fucking great.
Yeah,
like, a lot of times, like I spent yesterday, basically, I went to yoga and ran, and I was like, okay, I'm off to a great start today. Right? And then I go home and I have lunch. And with plans on, I got some spoken word thing I want to start recording. I got a painting, commission thing. I literally sat on took a nap, but then I laid on the couch kind of semi-depressed for like 4 hours, like having this weird negotiation with myself going like, what is wrong with you, dude? Why can't you get up and do something? And I was just like...
Did you prioritize anything? Did you know what you wanted to do the most?
Yeah, that's the thing. And then today I woke up and decided I'm going to start painting right away. I'm not going to go to yoga. I'm going to I'm going to reverse engineer my day. But like, so when you say negotiating with yourself, it just reminded me of like the last like 48 hours I've just had, because when you are an artist, you're kind of self-employed. If you're lucky enough to be self-employed in that way,
and you're giving yourself assignments,
It's
sometimes when I want to do writing, I take my phone and I put it on airplane mode and I put it in like a drawer, and then I give myself like a 2-hour writing assignment, and I just write for 2 hours, just like whatever, and then usually like oftentimes I get stoned into it, and I'll just like at that. I won't even look at it until 2 days later, and then I'll like look at what I wrote. But it's like a free period for me to, you know, to just like almost excavate an interior landscape or something that's whatever's inside of me, you know?
Yeah. Do you do that daily? Is that a daily thing, or? I
do it, you know,
it's almost like morning pages type of thing.
Yeah, or I do it at night. So, you know, I won't do that every day. I think I probably write for a couple of hours a day, but sometimes, like for example, right to this show, I was walking over the bridge or something, and I'll just write on the notepad feature of my phone. But you know, I just keep a scroll of writing, and it's sort of like I don't really know what I'm going to do with it. But you know, it can be hundreds and hundreds of pages in between different projects, and I just sort of take the lines for songs or whatever. You know, but you know, I try to keep the tap flowing. You know what I mean? Because like I'm really scared about it drying up. I'm just like, I got to keep it going, you know?
Yeah. You got a lot of good lines.
Thanks.
In the movie and in the albums.
You know, when you grow older, I think that oftentimes you have less good lines. So it's not that like, it's actually sad because it's not that you have none. It would be easier. It would be easier if you had none, then you could be like, cool, time to pack it in.
Yeah.
The worst part is that you just have less. So you have to like do like more work and edit it more to get the same thing that when you were like 21
you could have crushed
just all your shit was funny.
Really? Do you believe that?
I mean, well,
Napoleon Hill says in Think and Grow Rich, our prime years are from 40 to 60, but that could be business years.
I don't know. I mean, you know, I'm not trying to depress anyone because I think you can do great art until you're old. I mean, I think so. I mean, you know, at least some people I look up to, Leonard Cohen or something, seem to have great lyrics when he was older. You know, Joe Dorowski. I don't know. Lots of people do cool art when they're older. I
just put him in one of my poems, Joe Dorowski.
Yeah, he's amazing.
Yeah.
You know, honestly, but I do think that you're gonna like have to edit a lot more as you get older. I think you just there's too much. You know, here's the thing. Okay, I have like a duality. Like I'm a father. You know, so I drop my daughter off at school. From the second I leave the schoolyard, I flip. All of a sudden, I'm like. You know, in some like decadent, depraved world. Like
really?
Like I just like switch it. all of a sudden, like, I don't know, like I have like my own little secret garden of like whatever.
Why does it have to be depraved?
It's not depraved, but it's like it's a free world.
It's a free world.
It's free in there. You know what I mean? And it's my garden. You know what I mean? So it's not like, it's just, you know what I mean? It's my thing. But then you know what I'm saying? And I'm able to flip it. Do you know what I mean? Like the thing is that with I'm lucky that I can flip it off and on. You know what I mean? But sometimes you just feel those forces are trying to pull you back to earth, and you're like not earthbound at all.
Right.
And I think to get a good line, you actually have to kind of go out on a limb.
Yeah.
So you're kind of trying to build bridges to reach these lines. And sometimes you're fucking really far out there, and people are like trying to drag you back to earth, and you're like, dude, I'm about to get this fucking line. I swear to God, I'm about to get this fucking line. If you just shut the fuck up.
Just like let me do it 3 more minutes, and then like, I'll feed you.
Yeah, because it's this weird thing where you start feeling like you're like in another dimension, and I'm like, okay, I'm in this other dimension. Like I feel it. It's all about this word. It's all about this feeling. I can feel the texture of it. I'm almost there. I'm like grasping around, and it's like I don't want to come back right now. That's a weird thing about maybe having responsibilities.
Yeah. I guess also I think with the aging thing, maybe it's about maintaining enthusiasm for working, especially like you put all this energy into things, and maybe like, oh, I'm a little disappointed that it didn't create more of a stir, this or that or the other, whatever enemies of enthusiasm are out,
totally,
of which there are many.
Of course, yeah.
And it's like it's all about the sort of like the zen and the art of maintaining enthusiasm, because I think when you're younger, you're so full of belief and dreams that if like I pursue my genie or genius, that it like all these like this fantastical world will open up, and then you get older and it's not really like that. It's the world still, and you're like kind of like, but the amount of energy it takes to get those great lines and to do those great works is so astounding. You have to be all in.
Yeah, you have to be all in to do it.
You have to be all in.
But in a way, you're kind of like carrying around this circus with you all the time. You know what I mean? Because you have to like you need like all the tents or something to like to be able to do the show.
Right.
So you're like
yeah, exactly. So how do you maintain that like, because dude, like, not to keep blowing smoke about it, but like the fact that you made that film and your album, and then now your new work is this graphic novel, comic.
Yeah, it's a graphic novel.
Okay, graphic novel and an album. I mean, like, you're maintaining a high degree of enthusiasm and like kind of like how are you maintaining all that enthusiasm and sort of up-leveling, it feels like, your enthusiasm for the purpose of your work and doing these things?
Well, I mean, I'm lucky because my wife is really supportive of it, so I have that. She's been like she's been sort of helping me as an editor for my last for the Aladdin film. She produced it with me, and for the comic book we wrote the storyline together.
That's
like,
great.
So it's been really like, that's been good. At home, I have like, I can talk about it. But then, just like, I don't know. I mean, like, I think, I just want to do a lot of stuff, but that's just,
Simple
whatever.
as that.
Desire.
Yeah. Desire.
Yeah. But I mean, I mean, of course it's like pretty frustrating if you think about it. I mean, it's like, but it's like my friend always said, Turner Cody. Like I remember I was like complaining to him one day. Do you know that he's a great singer, songwriter, folk singer? But he was like, what? Like, you think you decide to be an artist, and like the deal is that like you're gonna make like tons of money and everything's gonna be great for you. Like that's not like traditionally how it goes. Like you can't like sit around complaining like, oh my God, like I wanted to make this like crazy epic graphic novel about psychedelic war, and like there's just no money for it. It's like but I accept that, but it doesn't mean that I don't think that, that there should be. I don't, in some ideal universe, I think that, I wish that it was like encouraged that for people to take these odysseys risks, or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. Well, I think it will totally. I mean, it already pays off for you, but I think it's going to pay off as I think history will be really kind to you, because there's not enough people like you, frankly. Like,
thanks.
Not enough, like when I watch that film, I'm like, man, this is like what people used to do, like really creative shit, like. Well,
it's been fun, to have movies that go along with your music. You know, like, I mean, because you grew up, with a lot of the stuff in the 60s, like Frank Zappa, Bowie, Beatles, like they all have movies associated with different albums.
It reminds me of the Beatles or T-Rex when he made Wild.
It's fun, and it makes. I think it does add. It adds a dimension to to the people that you're, to music that you're listening to think that there are films that go along with them.
That's true.
But also just he teaches me about like writing stories and stuff.
Yeah.
Teaches me about. I think it's discipline. To actually sit around and say, I'm going to have this structure happen. Because when I was younger, I didn't have that. I would never have written something that had a plot.
Yeah, you got some discipline. I guess that's kind of what I've been trying to get after. Like, where are you getting all your discipline from?
Yeah, it's like you have to kind of just like...
And is that growing as you're getting older? I guess you're saying it is.
I think that on one hand, it grows. I mean, you try to learn about a new subject area and, apply those things that you learned from the last time. But, it's kind of like I think there's... there's like a learning method for some kids go to schools, Steiner or something, or I don't know what it's called, but it's like a learning method where you try to learn about one thing and then you try to attach everything to that thing. So for example, when I was learning about I learned about Cy Twombly because I really like his paintings.
Man, I love Cy Twombly.
He's great.
He's one of my favorites.
Okay. So I read a book about Cy Twombly by Richard Lehman, I think his name was.
Yeah.
And I wrote down all the little references because it was a very thorough book that had all of the sub notes of each painting and what it was referencing.
Oh, really?
So I wrote it all down. Then I looked up all those things, and then I learned all about the history of Rome and Greece through knowing those paintings. So it gave me something to latch it onto. I was really interested in learning about perfumery, and I learned about it through apparently David Bowie smelled amazing. Do you know this about Bowie?
No.
Okay, so this is apparently it's a very famous thing that Bowie smelled incredible.
This makes me want to try harder to smell better.
Dude, he apparently and everyone and when he died, a lot of people talked about it, including the Strokes, who smelled him in person.
Wow.
And
they got to smell Bowie.
And they said it was incredible.
Where did they collaborate with him?
I guess he had come to one of their shows. So I kind of was like, thinking about this one day, and when he had died, was sad about it. And then I was reading this article, and it was talking about what did he wear? Everyone. I think the Arcade Fire. Lots of people had they were remembering his smell.
Was it his pheromones, or was it a scent that he bought at an airport?
I think that
duty free.
I don't think that he bought it at an airport, but
dude, that's where I buy all my scents.
But I think
duty free. That's the only time I think maybe I'll get a scent.
Yeah,
because I'm going through duty free and I'm not going to get the cigars or the bottle of tequila.
It's kind of funny though. I like that at duty free. I like that it's whether it's fragrance or whether it's vodka. It's still an alcohol product. They're still somehow selling you something that's alcohol.
Yeah.
But anyways, so I learned about perfumery, which I was studying for a few years. But I'm not an expert at it. But it's just something I'm interested in. I learned all about it through my initial research into what David Bowie might have worn.
That's wild.
Yeah.
And what did you come to any conclusion about what it could be?
I'm not convinced of anything that I heard.
Right.
I mean, I've smelled the things that people say it could have been, and it doesn't seem like that it was any of those things. I mean, people say that it could have been Silver Mountain Water, or it could have been Minotaure by Paloma Picasso. If you smell these things, I don't think that that's what the Strokes were talking about.
Maybe it was a mixture of one of these fancy scents and his pheromones.
Exactly. He probably smelled good anyway. But he probably got a custom.
I don't need Bowie to be great at yet another thing. This is sort of disappointing to me in a weird way. Really, Bowie gets to be great at another thing? He was already great at everything.
Even when I was watching the James Bond movie, I was thinking, Bowie was even kind of Bondish, in his old age. He had everything going on.
Dude, his last album was still killer, too.
Yeah. He was obviously what do you call it? He was the, one of the great people that you can measure how great people are by just comparison.
Yeah. Yeah. I wanted to say this about artists too. Duchamp was he was a tutor.
Right.
That's how he made his money.
Oh, is that true? I mean, I thought you meant symbolically.
No, he was he made his money that way.
Wow.
He was not he didn't get rich. But just back when we were talking about being an artist isn't necessarily this get rich quick scheme.
Yeah.
But,
I mean, it's like a calling. And the funniest thing is that now, the more you do the different kinds of things, if you do a movie, if you do a comic, like they're all callings in themselves. And then, the idea of trying to do all of them is a calling. Like, like I got into like Cocteau, who did The Beauty and the Beast. He did his own version. That was one of the inspirations for me to make Aladdin.
Yeah.
That and Jodorowsky and some different people that sort of do complete art.
Oh, right.
Or they do like kind of total artworks in the sense that they write the script and then they sort of prepare the set and the whole. Fellini does that, But even to the extent where you can make the music or write it all.
Yeah.
That became an interesting thing to me, is like the calling of complete artworks. So that's to me like, it's like if you're at a holy, if you go to like the top of the summit of Everest and there's like a monastery up there and there's like this one monk and you're like, I want to make total artwork, and they're like, okay, well, like, you're not allowed to come into this temple until you do this and this. Like, can you draw?
Yeah.
Can you sing? Can you can you write? Can you paint? Can you whatever, act? I don't know. Not that I can do all these things so well, but you know what I'm saying? You get the feeling that this is like this entryway into this other, like this like hyper art that you can like be part of.
Yeah, well,
what I mean?
You pulled it off.
Thanks.
Like you did, man. That's
trying.
Like, no, you've done it, and may you continue to do that. But like for sure, that like Aladdin Odyssey is like Jodorowsky, like kind of like reminiscent of that too. That kind of like just But
but I think that and like you're involved in doing all these disciplines, and and you know what I mean, and I feel like you can do that, and I can see Devendra doing that, and Jeffrey Lewis, and there's people that I think can do this thing too. I mean, it's just like a if you want to build all your own rooms and stuff.
Well, you ran the 4-minute mile though. Now we know it's possible.
Right.
Now it's like, okay, we can do it now because you did it.
What came first, the genie or the bottle? Did you want to make?
Oh yeah, you found the lamp in a antique store.
Oh yeah.
And then you like carried it around with you to make good on your promise to yourself to make the film, right? Yeah,
because now that I think about it, like it was from the outside kind of a weak commitment. I mean, the sense that like I knew I wanted to make Aladdin, but there was no real script yet. I mean, there was kind of a script, and I decided to make the album first. So it's pretty weird to like
so the
basically.
Music was first?
Yeah, it's kind of weird to like go to Los Angeles to like get a band together to make the soundtrack for a movie that's kind of not really real yet. But in my mind I was definitely going to do it. So to do it, like I had this lamp. And I brought it in the suitcase, and like I was like, okay, I have the lamp.
That makes sense.
But I didn't end up using the lamp. And you know why? One of the reasons I didn't end up using it.
Oh, that wasn't the lamp.
I based the lamp on it, but the reason
like a squash.
It looks like a gourd, yeah. And okay, I got it from an antique shop that was in the West Village that I don't even know is still around anymore.
Well, for the purpose of this story, it's no longer around.
I don't think so.
Like it would never existed for the purpose of this story.
It was like the place in Gremlins.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it was weird, but like it really was. But
that's funny.
But like just the when I went out there, I got scared that if I lost the lamp, I thought if I lose the lamp,
you lose the inspiration.
No, I thought the movie's over because I can't make it again. Like, how can I make this intricate metal-worked lamp again? Yeah. Like, so I thought like I could ruin the movie by losing this lamp. I would have this one prop that's irreplaceable. Mm-hmm. Like you definitely want two of them if you're gonna make a whole film about it.
Yeah. So and it was just the idea, this like psychological idea of the genie that was like really compelling you towards this. Towards Aladdin, right? Like
I think so. I mean, there was that. Just like I had made this painting a long time ago for Pioneer Works. I had done an art show at Pioneer Works, which is I don't know if you people know. Dustin Yellen started this art center. It's a great place.
Beautiful.
But I had done this art show, and one of the paintings was a painting of Aladdin and Princess Jasmine crashing into the World Trade Center on a flying carpet.
Wow.
And so that was like. Just some image that I thought of that was like, I guess, satirical. I don't know what it was. So I just sort of made this painting, and then for some reason that spawned into this whole other idea. Like, well, what if this was like an actual movie, and I was making my own Aladdin, And I was thinking about that Rimbaud poem, and just like anything, you just have an idea. Like even that War in Paradise, like my new graphic novel is called War in Paradise. That's like an idea I had around the same time. I was like, what if you make an epic like war movie? You know what I mean? So it's whatever you get into your head, and some things stick and some things don't. I mean, like I had this idea that I want to make a Hanukkah epic. Like, because I was thinking there's all these movies like
Christmas epics.
There's all the, you can find so many biblical epics. Like you can find so many, but no one ever made like a gladiator style film about Hanukkah. I mean, it is a war story,
I didn't know that.
Same era, yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's never been like a real epic Hanukkah movie, and I was like, oh, it'd be so great to tell that story. Like, in the tradition of grand.
Yeah, like starring Russell Crowe.
Yeah. As Judah Maccabee.
Someone in Hollywood's gonna steal your idea.
Right. Well, they can have it. But so that's an example of an idea that I've had for a while, but I don't know that I'll ever follow through with. You know what I mean? Some ideas you have, and you know that you're kind of not going to do it.
Yeah. Is the new one the
War in Paradise?
War in Paradise. Thank you. Is that kind of like? Is there an AI element to that? Like, is this like about kind of AI sort of vibe?
Yeah. Well, my wife Yasmin works for Google, so
okay.
So a lot of our discussions at home center around technology. And, it's like kind of what do you call it? Subversion of
freedom.
Yeah, exactly. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
Firewalls, disinformation, all kinds of things. I mean, like even the Russian trolling, or these are all subjects that came up, years before I heard about in the news.
Okay.
Because they were researching it.
Oh, I see.
So.
They were getting ready to plant it in us already.
So we're interested in AIs and some of the futurist stuff, like reading Kurzweil's book How to Create a Mind, and different things that got me into the idea of in my story, the AIs are called insects, and they're that's part of inspired because whenever you see the new prototype of a robot from Boston Dynamics, I always feel like they modeled some of the features after insect legs and stuff. Have you noticed that?
I have noticed.
It's almost like the more advanced the robot, the more of an insect.
Why do you make it look so monstrous? Are you just trying to freak us out? Because we're already freaked out. By the way, you could like make it look like a Smurf or something. I don't know.
That would be nice. It's like
does it have to look like a fucking evil insect, dude?
There is an otherness to insects, in general, and but I think that it has something to do with some kind of aerodynamic aspect to the design.
Yeah, that's what they say. They're trying to give us nightmares.
They have a restaurant here that I ate at recently. We're serving bugs over on First Avenue. Have you checked it out?
No,
Black Ant.
I'm gonna go.
It's a bug restaurant.
I believe in it. I think if you eat a bunch, I had ant drops once from Erewhon, and I don't know.
It was it's
who knows.
It was not like so delicious, but it tasted like food.
Okay. What's it called?
It's called Black Ant.
Black Ant. Okay.
It's just a little. It's honestly, it's not the flavor. It's just the texture is challenging.
All right.
But like, I was gonna say that. So there's these insects, but they're not. They're robots, and they're hyper intelligent, and they're like artistic and expressive, and in a way like they're in this world, in regular world at this time, which is sort of it's set in like the Aladdin world of future. They're kind of replacing people, or they're taking everybody's jobs, or whatever. People have the same kind of concerns with insects that they have with immigration, and people are, the world is like 5% employed, rather than unemployed. You know what I mean? There's basically like no jobs, and everyone's working for tips, and it's sort of like it's like a dystopian world, and it's run by this
like
sort of
where we're heading towards, or already here.
Yeah, it's sad to say, but a lot of people do say that there's going to be 50% less jobs in 20 years or something or less.
Yeah, that's like obvious.
Yeah, so I mean, I was just in LaGuardia, and everything was automated. Like, I mean, it was like the whole airport was just one giant iPad.
Yeah,
and you could there was no people working there.
No, I mean, and also it's like, do you ever like check out any David Icke stuff?
A little bit. Like, I mean, I know that he does the lizard people, right?
Yeah, but that's what always comes up, and that's what I thought. So I always just automatically like. If he would come up on my YouTube, suggest this guy, like I'd be like, I'm not into the lizard people thing.
What else is there?
He's actually really smart, and it's actually like recent talks. He never brings up lizard people, but just brings up a bunch of stuff that just is actually very reasonable and like exactly like what's sort of happening about how the internet came. and has like at first it was like this completely censor-free
right.
scene, and it's like the the concept of the toad being slow boiled in the pot. Suddenly our freedoms are being taken away. It starts off like banning Alex Jones, and that's okay because it's Alex Jones. But then now they're banning like keto channels and just like banning this, banning that, banning that. So it's like
it becomes this horrible thing where like all of a sudden like it's almost as if everyone is like held up to the standard as like the most outrageous thing that one person wants to say becomes symbolic of everyone's freedom to talk freely.
Well, exactly. There's no more freedom of speech, and if you say something that goes against the like approved narrative, then you're a fascist and all this other stuff. So everybody's scared into silence.
Yeah.
And how and the other thing he says is how like with AI, like we get used to like first they get us used to like just holding this thing all day long, and then all of a sudden we put our earbuds in, so we got earbuds in all the time. But then now they're developing a chip, and it's just getting more and more like we're gonna become more and more robot like. The new human, they're gonna sell us on becoming superhuman by like that. If you put this chip in, you'll. Right. We're going to, people say, I would never do that, but everyone's going to end up doing it.
Yeah, like doesn't, in the new, I might be paraphrasing, but the new Yuval Harari book, the guy that wrote Sapiens, he has like a new book. I thought he was sort of talking about a class of superhumans or, there being a division point, where like the people who had a lot of money were basically going to invest only in becoming superhumans, and then, it was going to separate them from the other people that couldn't afford that, and I mean, it almost does make you turn into like, it makes the people that don't have anything turn into almost like a class of like prostitutes or like feudal vassals,
right?
You know what I mean? Because
how
like,
do you mean that?
Well, just because like people who have nothing and then people who have everything. It's almost like the people who have nothing are like at the, they're like at the free will disposal of the people that have everything.
Yeah.
But like So I'm actually really interested in CRISPR. What I've heard about it, people are doing gene modifying tools, and it sounds like almost pro tools for genes.
Right.
It sounds like you're in a recording studio, but you're, and then in that case,
and they can print you up like. Well, that's so funny because that goes to your Aladdin film, like that it's like printing up, like that your genie can print up anything.
Can print anything, yeah.
That's what I like about what you're doing too, because you are referencing and acknowledging what's happening now around us and stuff too. That's pretty cool.
Thanks. I think about I do think about the sort of just like I think maybe the meaning of like what it, if everything is changeable, like for example, if you can change your genes and you can re-inject new genes into yourself and change your DNA during your lifetime significantly to what you want, then like in a way, like we're almost like a walking JPEG file.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Are we like a walking file that can be modified?
Yeah.
And then I don't know if people figure out some kind of like life longevity reversal or something, then you really become just the idea of change becomes, I mean, I guess people already kind of know that everything changes, and that's part of like being alive.
Right.
But I mean, it does feel like, when you're here and you're at like the front of reality, and like you're just like literally like you're like front facing at you're like at the tip of now.
Yeah.
Just all the time, and it just starts to feel like a little bit of like a comedy, because you're just like you know what I mean? Like I don't even well,
dude,
I don't want to depress everyone about it.
No, dude, this is great what you're saying. The tip of now and at the front of reality, like these are good lines too. Just like I'm gonna write down your lines, dude.
But everyone
the tip of now is like, why do you think that becomes a? I kind of understand what you mean, but explain why you think being at the tip of now all the time becomes almost comedic.
Well, I almost feel like it's almost like there's a firewall around the moment.
That's awesome, dude. That's another good line.
But you know what I mean? Like there's some kind of that's the worst part about being now, is you're like, oh shit, I'm like stuck. Like there's some kind of spiky firewall around the moment.
It's always now. What do you mean by a spiky firewall around the moment?
It just feels like that. I don't really know how to explain what I'm saying.
Right.
I guess I'm just describing. I'm not describing anything meaningful. I'm just describing a hopeless feeling, I think
emotional state.
Yeah,
almost.
like, but I don't.
I get it.
But I don't think that that always has to be the case. That it is like a hopeless feeling. But I do feel like it's difficult to, or you have to kind of change your idea of meaning if you're going to talk about everything around you being subject to like the rules of an editor that is like live editing everything around you.
Interesting.
So it's almost like the hand of God is like is like on a, we were talking about the computer thing, a video game thing. But if you really can go into a gene editing software and
then
manipulate things,
it becomes more and more like that.
Yeah, then you are sort of playing Pro Tools with yourself.
Do you think there's a conspiracy against empathy and against humanity? Like, it's like there is this, like, where is all this going? And is this going towards us becoming more and more like computers and just becoming like, and so is there why are they trying to shut down free speech? Why are they trying to shut down these things? Are they trying to shut down humanity and replace us?
It's funny. Yeah, I wonder what I saw Spencer Tunick was on the show last. I wonder what he would say about it. But I was, I do feel like a couple things about it. One is that I guess let me think. I had so many things to say. I had so much. I guess that there's, we live in a world with more people, so as more people come into the world, like we have less and less space. So it kind of makes sense that as more and more people are like in the world, that you have like less and less individual freedom because you're like have literally less physical space to move around in. Yeah. You know what I mean? So probably it would almost make sense if someone said every time that there's more people or that you look to an era where there used to be less, people would be like, I could really stretch out back then. There was like more freedom because so that maybe that it could be as simple as that. I like what you said about conspiracy against empathy. I mean, it does seem like there's no empathy lessons or something that are being given. And
it seems like
there's a kind of a condemnation mindset, that's sort of like pervasive. If you have like groups of people that are sort of, like looking to, kind of like point fingers and say, my life isn't going right because of you, because of when it's actually just a matter of like there's just not a lot of space for anyone,
Right.
But.
I think it's just it's fear and control. Like they want people afraid and controlled and also shamed,
Yeah.
Like the whole idea of like weaponized, like porn as a weaponized industry that's like keeping people locked in these like little shame closets.
Right.
Like, it's like I almost want to say to the like to all that energy, whatever, is like, what gives? Like, why can't you just let me be great?
Also, just the idea that, that if you're, that if you're not involved in certain kinds of apps, that like you might be considered to be unemployable to everyone really soon. You know what I mean? That it seems like, you know what I mean? Like almost like, let's just say that not having an account on Instagram or something makes you the equivalent of being a vagrant.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's almost like those things become your ID.
That's true. And your popularity and your sort of that becomes more significant.
But then I think what I get worried about is the idea that then the acceleration of the speed of all the things you're expected to input into those devices. So then let's just say that we're theoretically living in this sort of game where you have to like post this many things and like this many things and do this many things, and then like somebody's like speeding it up and up and up and up, and like you can't even keep up. You're like supposed to do all this stuff, and it's like and then if you don't have the app, you're like useless to everyone. You're like not even participating in the world.
Yeah.
So
you're almost erasing yourself.
And my friend the other day was saying, it's a clear parasite. Like, I mean, anyone looking at it would just say this is a clear scourge on humanity. Like it's people are being hypnotized, and it's completely as an artist you try, I think, to show people something from an unhypnotized world. I mean, that's like the idea is like, I mean, hopefully anyone's looking up from their phone just to see a picture, or maybe they're seeing it on their phone, but they're looking up or they're looking into your work to see something that's unhypnotized, because that at least elicits like an emotional feeling to see it, you know?
And that is exactly what I think makes me respond to what Aladdin and what you've put out, like, is because it feels like it's coming from that time, like that pre-hypnotized time.
Thanks. Yeah, you know what? My hope is that honestly it feels like people's souls are having a conversation as opposed to the way that people relate to each other when they're talking. Because, you know, when people are talking, I've noticed, I do it too, everyone does that. You talk about the weather or some stuff. And then, you know, and then theoretically, like for me, my fantasy is that everyone falls asleep and then their dreams talk to each other, you know, and then that's the communication realm in which like the movies I'm making are operating in. People are sort of having, it's almost like if we fell asleep and all of our ghosts or spirits started having the actual conversation, you know what I mean? And we could forget about it, you know. But and this points to what you were saying before about people and empathy, is that we're all 10 seconds away from feeling happy. I mean, if somebody just jams like a chemical into us, like, you know what I mean? It's kind of incredible that we're actually so close to joy that has nothing to do with us. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, so I almost.
What do you mean by we're so close to joy that has nothing to do with us?
Like you could feel so stressed out or something, but somebody could give you a chemical which would make you feel great.
Love.
Like, it could be love, but it could just be, you know, it could just be Klonopin or something. But that's actually what, you know, in regards to the slow boil, thing, you know, that's actually what kind of freaks me out, is the idea that, you know, that through your communication with all these devices that, you know, you're gradually, slowly administered all these substances which just like serve to take the edge off enough, because they know that you have so much anxiety to push all these buttons and do all these things you're supposed to be doing on your phone or whatever, that like they just start, like, part of your relationship with all these devices is that it administers you the appropriate anxiety, you know, thing to just really turn you into a plant. You know. Yeah,
I practice hot. I mean, this is like this then ain't meant to is not meant to sound self-congratulatory, but it's meant to just be like a good thing. I think is like I practice hot yoga every day. Like I go to a class and do that and do like and it gets me out of my phone for at least 2 hours a day, because like while I'm in the class I'm not looking at my phone, and then I make sure I don't turn it on, and like for my whole walk home, like I have like a little rule like that.
That's cool.
Yeah, and so I keep the meditative vibe, so at least like 2 hours for sure I'm not going to look at my phone at all, which is like
really good,
which is pretty good. And that's like do you have anything, like, do you do any kind of thing away from that I mean, you're a family man and everything like that, so you probably have all kinds of things.
Sure, yeah, but you don't get the chance all the time, because you have to have be able to be contacted when you have like kids at school and stuff. So you have to like have you know, be available. But in general, yeah, I mean, I try to just not look. I mean, I guess it's going to sound really like you know, boring to the people listening, but I just mean, like, for example, if I do email, I just do like the ones for today. And then I don't look at the responses, and I just do those tomorrow. I just like have like a sort of once over every day. Right. Just because like I can't be doing this all day. So this is like this is today's, and then tomorrow's the next ones.
Yeah, no, that's helpful to people. I think, like, to hear stuff like that. Like, that's why I say things like that too. It's like, just here's a helpful suggestion. Yeah. That's a helpful suggestion.
Yeah, no, I mean, that might not work for someone. That probably doesn't work for someone who has, like, you know, not an artist life or something.
Yeah,
you know, but, I don't know.
Yeah, that's cool.
That phone call you get when it says school nurse.
Oh yeah, dude, come on.
And then you're like, oh, my day's screwed now.
Oh, dude, it happens all the time. Yeah. Oh, there's always something.
You don't know about that.
I don't know about it. I would like to know about it. I want to have kids one day.
You can have the best day planned. You're like, I'm gonna go, you know, take a walk. I'm gonna go to the museum. I'm gonna go write a song, and then you just get this call, and you're like, oh, I'm not gonna do anything.
Right.
I'm just gonna pick up my kid.
How many kids do you have?
2.
2. How old are they?
Almost 5 and 6 months. 7 months.
Wow. Congratulations.
Thanks. Yeah.
That's exciting.
Yeah, it's cool. I mean, you know, but it's funny. It's like you kind of have to have a rule. You're like not going to talk about your kids. Like,
yeah, I actually already sensed that right away. Like,
no, only because I kind of feel like it's so boring for everyone, honestly.
We can also edit anything out.
No, I don't mean like that. I just meant like I honestly think, like, if like if you have kids, it's fun. You can just talk about it. If you don't, it's so boring. Like I didn't want to hear about anyone's kid before I had them.
Right. Yeah.
I really didn't. Like people bring up their kids, I'd be like la 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 la. Did not want to meet.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, let's go to your music a little bit, like, because I really like the style of production and the new single too. What's that one called? Oh yeah, Cheating on a Stranger.
Yeah.
And there's also some other cheating references in Aladdin.
Yeah, it's been kind of funny. Like
I like Cheating on a Stranger is a great.
Yeah, the
title.
kind of it's kind of like a listenness of that. You know, I think it's exciting, and like I think you know, as far as but you know, there's sort of been this idea of it was something I thought of a while ago, just that everyone's cheating on each other, and kind of like I like things like that kind of form a fractal in my mind. You know, like there's been sort of there's some kind of like cannibal nature to the universe or something. Like, you know, I was reading this book that was sort of insinuating that, you know, that the universe sort of hands itself to itself, and that we sort of experience that accordion-like feeling as time. You know what I mean?
Dude, you speak in poetry, man. It's kind of awesome.
Thanks.
Yeah, explain that, things that fractal in your mind. What do you mean?
Yeah,
by
like
that?
just sort of like, I don't know. It's just something when you have a line like everyone's cheating on each other, and it feels kind of like a fractal, or
what
like,
is a fractal like?
I don't really know if it's a fractal, but there's some
Just
sort of
like, it kind of almost like explodes in your mind a
yeah,
little
like
bit.
in my head I picture it sort of like there's sort of a snake eating its tail, or there's some kind of thing about it like that makes me feel like you know, that I'm going, you know, sort of taking a first step into like a side world, you know, where there's like kind of some kind of, it's almost like the world is sort of like a shell, and I'm kind of going under the shell of it. I don't know. It feels good to me, like to feel to have those kind of images, and so that's what I'm kind of searching for if I'm trying to write lyrics, you know, just sort of images that make me feel like that there's like a parallel dimension that is more like real than this or something, or I don't even know, like a spirit world. I don't know what's called. Not spirit world, it was probably the wrong thing. Just sort of like that there's a reason behind a reason, you know, and then I think that in that you can kind of feel a bit feeble because you can only get so far. I mean, you know, you see the work of other people, for example, like, I don't know, like I'll see some stuff from we were just talking about this about David Berman, you know, who had just died.
Yeah, rest in peace.
Yeah, it was so sad.
Very sad.
But Berman had certain lines that are so far-reaching, and you're like, oh my God, this guy's like, I mean, just like he just from a certain angle just had such a vivid like grasp of things that are like very, very hard to reach. But it puts them in simple ways.
Yeah,
too. Yeah. So
like you do that too, like putting something in a simple way, but it is far-reaching.
Thanks. I mean, yeah, that's a huge compliment. I find that his stuff just was you know, I just hold it in a very high regard, and I just thought like, wow. I mean, just like I felt like, you know, this kind of guy who we're sort of employing to be like a cosmonaut of like, you know, of reality, you know, who's like out in the far reaches of sensitivity about like what the future feelings of the world are, you know, and this guy, like, we're depending on this guy to do this, and it's just, you know, just sad that that it ended.
Yeah.
You know, and anyways,
Actual Air is such a good book.
It's an amazing book, you know.
It is.
But I felt that way when I first read William S. Burroughs, where I just like, I mean, and you know, this actually in relation to what you were saying about censorship and things, you know, you have to remember that these William S. Burroughs books and stuff, I mean, were a hoard, you know. I mean, at the time, like, I mean, it couldn't have been, you know, more illicit to publish a William S. Burroughs book, you know.
Yeah.
But it's just weird that like now everyone wants to like, they want to like have their punk, and they want to like,
they want to have their punk and they eat it too.
Yeah. It's kind of like do you want stuff to be outrageous enough that you think that it shouldn't be said? I mean, because that's what all these things that people, you know, that they treasure, you know, are like at one point they're almost illegal.
Well, yeah, but that whole sort of, it's like the mob of political correctness that can socially shame you on the internet and turn your life into hell. Like if you do like push limits, like there's no more, so everybody becomes more and more risk averse and scared into silence, and it's already happening, and
Yeah.
The scary part is it's already happening to a scary degree, but yet you ain't seen nothing yet.
Right.
Like that's the thing. Like it's like, and where does it end? You know, like is like going to start
yeah,
like
you know, you do think about that. You know, like for example, like performing an old song or something. I think to myself like, oh, you know, if somebody has a problem with these lyrics, like you know, they can rest assured being that they've already won. Like, you know, no one will ever write a song like this right now.
yeah.
You know, like even if you don't like one of my old songs, you know that you've already won because they will never be written.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I mean, like, so I don't know.
Yeah.
And which is, you know, it's a weird feeling.
It is a weird feeling. I don't want to live in a place where, you know, I really, 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 really dig freedom of speech.
Yeah, me too.
You know, I'm a big fan.
Yeah. It's weird, but it's like, how do you just really like free speech and really want art? You know, and there to be special places for art and special considerations for creativity where people can do all this stuff without becoming the whatever Jordan Peterson of indie rock or some crap. You know, it's like, I think it's like you need to like, I just feel like it's almost like there needs to be, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I guess I get disappointed with like, you know, how, you know, appreciating, you know, expression and freedom of that gets conflated with every single person who has any opinion on YouTube. You know, it's but also, you know, something that somebody said recently.
That's why you have to allow for people like what you think Jordan Peterson should be edited or whatever, or is that what you're saying?
No, I don't feel that way. But I'm just saying like it's just annoying that if I'm going to say, oh, you know, hey, you know, by the way, I think that these William S. Burroughs books are awesome, or I think I think my old
you're becoming the Jordan Peterson.
Yeah, then all of a sudden, then it's like, you know, it has nothing to do with each other, you know.
That's the double bind that they have everybody in. That's you just hit the nail on the head.
Right.
That's the double bind. It's like, because it's like if you speak out for freedom of speech now, all of a sudden you're an alt-right fascist.
Right.
And when did that happen?
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? Like,
well,
the fact that that's even in your head is like ding dong, ding dong, ding dong on like the fucking what's the name of your new book? What?
Warren to Paradise.
Well, I don't know why I looked at him, but Warren to Paradise.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know that book yet, but like, you know, just the whole, just like the future world. The fact that that's already in your head is to me super alarming.
Yeah,
in and of itself, because we should be able to be champions of freedom of speech without fear of being considered an alt-right.
Right. Of course. Yeah.
You know, champion. Of any kind, you know, and that's the point, you know. It's like, and I think more and more people need to just speak plainly about this, like this, so that this doesn't happen, because the less people are willing to speak, the harder it's going to become to speak. Like it will become more dangerous to speak. Right. So I think now's the time to speak. If y'all are feeling this way, not to like suddenly be on a soapbox. If y'all are feeling this way, speak up. But it's true. It's like, you know.
Yeah. Well, you know, there is sort of like as I was saying, there's kind of a garden, you know, that to be an artist you draw from, and I think you have to kind of work free. Mm-hmm. You have to work uncensored. You have to work explicit 100%. As an artist. You know, you want it, and that's where society benefits from having an open conversation.
Look at Lou Reed, man. Look at Lou Reed. Lou Reed's a perfect example. One of the greatest artists, poets of all time. Always on that edge, man. Like, I mean, like street hassle, like I want to be black, all that kind of stuff. Like, you know, it's wild the chances he took in that regard and pushing those lines, and like, you know, even into his last album, like, which was like, it's crazy lyrically and amazing. Lulu, the one he got so much shit for with Metallica, which is actually awesome, and will be like loved in the future, and everybody will go, "Oh, we were wrong," just like every one of his other records.
Right.
In my opinion,
you know, there's a book called The Advanced Genius Theory. Do you know about that?
No.
Like, it's a book. These guys, I don't really know because I didn't read it, and but I guess people should check it out if they think this is funny.
Well, I like the title.
The idea is that, you know, Lou Reed and Dylan and Bowie, you know, during their 90s, or whenever people think that they lost the plot in some way, you know, I don't know, whatever album you want to pick by some legend that you think that
Lost.
they lost the plot there.
Yeah.
That
Would that be Earth?
That's actually
exactly. Well, that's
when they were the most geniuses.
The book contends that you don't get it. Like they are geniuses, and this was they reached a point of advanced genius that is beyond you.
Yeah.
And so they didn't stop becoming geniuses. You just stopped understanding what they were doing.
That's perfect.
Yeah. So
I want to read that book.
It's called Advanced Genius Theory.
That's great. That's like perfect for Lou.
Yeah, you feel it. You feel it sometimes. Like, even with like this Iggy Pop record, Zombie Birdhouse. Have you heard that?
No, which one's that?
It's
is it recent?
No, it's an 80s record. It's kind of great. It's
I liked Avenue B. Did you ever hear that?
Yeah, Avenue B. Yeah. I listen to it in the car a lot. I mean, I listened to. I actually was listening to the latest Iggy Pop record. It sounded really good.
Is it?
Yeah.
I haven't heard it yet.
But yeah, like
love Iggy.
All these people, I guess they reached heights of advanced genius.
Well, Lou did, and then Lou, within his lifetime, like some of his supposedly he lost it periods were then later while he was still alive. Oh, this was actually fucking killer.
Yeah, or even I guess Metal Machine music or something.
Right.
And now people say, oh, it's like
he became the historic plumber. Eventually people recognized it down the line.
What do you mean historic plumber?
Just back to Mario.
Oh yeah, like an avatar.
Lou, 20 years later, people.
I always thought it was kind of funny how it's like Bruce Springsteen, right? Like, and Lou Reed sort of, they like if you take Bruce Springsteen's like white shirt and you change it to a black shirt, and then you take his blue jeans and you change them to black jeans, and then you take away his bandana and you put black sunglasses on instead, like he becomes kind of Lou Reed. Like, and he sings about America, and Lou Reed just sings about New York.
Right.
But you know what I mean? They have like I don't know. There's like.
Well, he's on Street Hassle.
Yeah, he's on Street Hassle, and that's
like unidentified.
Yeah.
Which is so hysterical. And Lou Reed,
just the phrase, like
himself.
Something that he says, because Springsteen says "tramps like us, we were born to run." Then on Street Hassle, he says "tramps like us, we were born to fade." And then I think on Lana Del Rey's new record, she has something like her record is called "Born to Die." There's a song, but the chorus is saying, "We were born to die."
Right.
So I feel like it's just sort of, it's like this kind of A-B of something, we were born to something. It's like this sort of vocal tick that Springsteen brought, but everyone loves it. Like, something, we were born to blah.
Yeah. something, we were born to blah.
Something, we were born to blah.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's the next one. That's your version of it. Something we were born to blah.
Oh, actually, speaking of tribute to Berman, I was speaking last night to, who Jeffrey Lewis is? An amazing songwriter.
Yeah.
He was pointing out there's a great Berman lyric from his song San Francisco, BC, and the lady says, "You don't make enough to provide for me, but what about the things that we quote believe?"
Right.
So I don't know. I think that just his quote "believe" was really great.
That's pretty
really
funny.
Great lyrical twist.
Yeah. It's like a simple thing like that.
Yeah, it's cool.
You remind me of Lou Reed in a little bit in an interesting way. Like, I don't know. Was he a big influence on you?
So much, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, growing up, I remember when I first got the Velvet Underground and Nico, I had a tape, and it doesn't have a picture of the band on it.
Mm-hmm.
So and it was pre-internet. I didn't know what they looked like. I heard Lou Reed, and first I thought, because it was like Sunday morning, and I'm waiting for the man and stuff. I thought he was young, like really young. I thought he was like 16.
Right.
Like in my head, I was like, oh, he's like a kid, and then I thought he's a hippie. Like I thought he had long hair. I pictured him like he was a kind of like a hippie with long hair who was like this kind of like weird little kid.
Yeah.
Like I had no. And then when I first saw a picture of him, I was like, whoa, oh shit, I didn't know you look like that.
Right.
Like and then during the glam period,
That's
which is very strange for him.
Did you get to meet him?
I did get to meet Lou Reed at the Bowery Ballroom, but it was it was a bunch of us around him, and he was kind of like just meeting people. And I was playing at the time with Jane Scarpintoni, who is a string arranger. She was his cellist. She was cellist in his band.
I played with her.
She's
before.
awesome. Yeah,
she's amazing.
Yeah. So she had invited me to the show, and so, anyways, there was this. At the time they were. It was before they did the Berlin thing. They were like just talking about they were talking about what to play, and so I recommended to her that they played Men of Good Fortune because I love that song.
I love that song. I covered that song.
Dude, I love that song. So
me too. Yeah.
So months later, Jane comes to me and she says, I mentioned Men of Good Fortune to Lou, and he's added it to the show.
Wow.
So you got to come, and they're gonna play it. So they played that, and so we whatever. After the show, I was in this huddle with him, and he was telling some kind of honestly, it's so New York. He was telling an anecdote about Allen Ginsberg's funeral or something,
mm-hmm.
and she said, "Oh, Lou, this is Adam. He's the guy that told us to play Men of Good Fortune," and he got that look like, what? Like he was not happy that I was the guy that told him to play Men of Good Fortune. He was did not like that.
Oh, he did.
That was not the right way to say it.
That wasn't the right way to say it.
He did not enjoy that, and he got really cold, and he just said, "And we played it." But then I was kind of the ice cracked again, and he was finishing up his anecdote about Allen Ginsberg's funeral, and by that point I was like, oh my God, Lou Reed's here, here. And he finished it with a punchline about I swear to God, I don't know the punchline, but the punchline was something and people said, but how far could he have gone? It was like a punchline like that.
And he was waiting for a reaction.
And nothing. Because it was I didn't understand the joke, and I couldn't listen.
Yeah.
And then he was done. But it was cool. I got to meet him, and it was thank you, Jane, for introducing us. And it was cool. But but I used to see him around as well. And it felt good
you could
to
see him all around.
Lou Reed would walk around this neighborhood, and you would see him. That was special. It made you feel like you were in the right place.
That's true. He had the reputation of being off, sort of hard or off-putting sometimes. But that's he was walking around. It's you would need a what do you call it? A shell of some sort to be a legend.
Of course.
Just being there was no bodyguards. It was just him hanging around.
Yeah, he'd wear these leather pants and stuff, and people would come up to him, and he'd probably just
all the time.
Be like, okay, please leave me alone.
Yeah, exactly. It'd just be
Yeah.
Yeah. But you're the what I hear of the influence of Lou in your work is different than what I normally when people normally say that.
Okay, well, how do you mean?
I mean, it feels to me like you are I don't know, lyrically for one. You're lyrically just and I don't even mean in any kind of style rip-off way. I just mean in a way that you're sort of so conscientious of your words, and that's actually when you're listening to your music, it's it kind of relieves a certain part of your brain. When somebody's actually paying a lot of attention to what they're saying, and it almost hits you like a relief. You're oh, thank God! Somebody's awake in this department.
Nice.
Because not everybody is awake in that department.
Well, I mean, there's definitely a conscious thing that was certainly influenced by him. As just in a delivery way. I mean, everything about. I grew up just as a huge Velvet Underground fan and Lou Reed fan. It's crazy because I also think just he had a unique thing where he had a combined passion. It's not just that he was so smart. It's just that he really felt his music a lot.
Yeah.
Because you could be really smart and not write any good songs. What I mean? It's it's just something about he just had a great combination of both.
Mm-hmm.
It's always funny because I sometimes I'm drawn to people that are sort of natural contrarians.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because they sort of, you can always count on them to not like anything, and it's kind of comforting almost to curmudgeonly people that don't like anything. I mean, I don't know. And he's funny like that. The kind of person who I mean, even in his old age, that he got so into kung fu or tai chi. He got so into tai chi and all this, and he kind of new technology, Guitar Center type stuff.
Oh yeah.
No,
he loved headphones. I'd always get new pairs of headphones. I remember I was hanging out with him one time and I saw on his phone he was showing me some headphones, and the album that came out on his phone was Van Halen. I was just blown away. But then it made sense too, because Eddie Van Halen, he loved guitar playing and guitar, and just anything like that. So
yeah, I mean, if you can ever hear Lou Reed stories, they're always cool.
Yeah, surprising, surprising anecdotes. But and so also, I guess you're influenced production-wise on the new stuff by like some Serge Gainsbourg vibe, or the producer you're working with is like.
Yeah, when I was on that, I was on that tip for a while just because I loved the production on.
Me too.
On the '70s Gainsbourg records, and this producer Lauren Humphrey, he has a studio in Bushwick. Well, actually, no, I'm sorry, he just moved to Long Island City, but he literally like studies photographs of the Melody Nelson session, and he like finds that microphone or those headphones, or he reads about it, and he was sort of building up this studio that had a collection of equipment that would sound like to make it sound like the Melody Nelson session. Yeah. So
it's funky.
But honestly, music. you need to have the right players do it. I mean, and that's why I got lucky on the thing because Lauren is incredible drummer. And I was playing with James Richardson from MGMT, who's like this amazing kind of Baroque guitar player, and Jesse Katansky, who did the strings, and Delicate Steve was playing guitar. I had this great amount of musicians that were on the record, and they were making it sound like the ultimate kind of session band.
Man, that Serge stuff too is like super funky, and you can see all the way through to the bottom of it. I kind of realized like, what is about this that's so sort of magical sounding, and there's no acoustic, like there's no acoustic guitar filling up all the space. It's bass, drums, and then string flourishes, and then Serge's voice is huge.
Yeah,
in the mix.
Yeah, it's really loud, and it's also just something about like I mean, this idea of folk funk is almost which is like
funky.
Like folk funk is a fun idea, but like for some reason just sort of lived and died in the 70s. Yeah, I don't know. Like back then people didn't even really have a bass drum. I mean the bass drum, it's almost like an 80s thing. Like I mean people didn't really put like a microphone on a bass drum. Like it was just like assume that you could kind of hear it anyway. Like you didn't have to like make it that loud. Right. And the shotgun snare and all that stuff that became the 80s aesthetic. The 80s aesthetic is kind of, I was thinking about it recently, and it seems like the 80s style is like almost covered with neon or something. Like, I mean, just like down to every aspect of it, it's like slightly glowing with neon. It's like someone like poured a little bit of toxic waste on everything. Yeah. But it's funny. And then I'm sorry, these are just a few random things about the feelings about things, but I realized when I was watching Seinfeld, and I thought like it felt like Seinfeld's room with the old Mac computer, like felt like it was kind of furry, or like the texture of it. Like I was thinking the kind of old things feel like they're kind of covered with these weird things. Like to me, like the past is kind of covered with fur. Yeah, or neon. Yeah, or neon, or there's just like back there, it's like a hole, and there's all kinds of things coming from it, But like,
what will this feel like it's covered with?
Yeah, what do you think?
Well, this brings us back to the fact that maybe if we're not on the, what did you call it earlier, like on the edge of right now, or we're always right now. As soon as we're not now, is it covered with something? Like when you walked in here. An hour ago or whatever, is that covered with anything? I wonder.
Well, the iPhone has a certain look. That was actually one of the fun things about making a movie directed on an iPhone. By the way, I also want to caveat is that I think that it was kind of okay. The iPhone has a look, so things will from our time look like iPhone-y. But
iPhone-y.
Yeah. but I think that the reason. The Wrong Ferrari, which was my first movie, was shot on an iPhone because that was like the instrument that we were taking on tour. Like it was like that was the camera that we had, and like we were making this movie, and it was kind of making it up as it went along. Yeah. So it has a use for it. It's like it's shot on an iPhone because like you can just be like go, click. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But it's immediate.
Exactly. So that's the reason to shoot a movie on an iPhone. But what I think is so dumb is that now, all these years later, there's like all these people who do. I shot my movie on an iPhone, and like it's almost like something that they did, like they did it for the wrong reason.
Right,
like
they did it on purpose.
They wanted to say that but they didn't even. They approached it really methodically and like shot an like you're supposed to use an iPhone like it's a tool. It's like it's impulsive. Yeah. That's why you use an iPhone. You don't use it like for just to like test technology. Yeah, that's kind of silly. I have the completely wrong idea about an iPhone movie.
Do you edit your own stuff, or did you get an editor?
Oh, I worked with editors. I worked with a few editors, and honestly, it's so helpful. Making movies is like a very collaborative thing. You
Yeah,
know what I mean?
definitely.
Like even
So
if
you
you have
have-
a vision for it, like it ends up that the problem is that you have to only work with what you get. So you could have the best line and the best actor, but the line is not. It just doesn't come off right, and then it doesn't matter. You can't use it. Like you have to work around it. So it's like not about what you meant to do. It's like what you actually got is the thing. So that's where the editor comes in handy. As the editor says, this sucks.
Yeah,
like
it's never about what
you can
you-
try to convince me that this is cool, but this is bad.
Paintings are like that. Paintings are never about what you meant to do. They're always about what's just right there on the canvas. Damn it.
But isn't that weird though that like it's like you don't have to be able to do exactly what you want. Like I'm saying, like that's
sometimes
still
it's better.
Okay. Yeah.
Than you think. But did you run out of space when you were filming on an iPhone all the time, or did you upload it to like?
Yeah, we'd
what
have
would you
to
do, upload it.
Yeah, exactly. We'd have to. It was before you could even link it up, so it was sort of like with a cord, and we were always you'd have to
uploading all
exactly.
the time.
Yeah. And it didn't have a lot of memory.
That makes sense.
But yeah, it was. And then the sound was atrocious. So
how'd you deal with that?
I overdubbed all the sound.
Oh,
so,
you
so
did?
it's an 80-minute movie, so we had to do it
Right,
like we'd approach it like as a
looked
cartoon.
Like lip sync.
I gotta-
like-
all lip synced.
Oh, that's
I've been doing that in all my
interesting.
movies, but I learned that from Fellini and Jodorowsky.
Oh, really?
'Cause
They overdubbed it all?
I like how they overdub it because first of all, you can change the line up until the end. You can actually change the line.
So even is Aladdin overdubbed?
It's overdubbed, yeah.
That's so
And then-
liberating to hear, dude.
And then
the whole thing.
the whole
I'm-
movie's overdubbed.
I think Adam's
Really?
inspiring me to make a movie, or at least.
But then also-
or at least think about making
Yeah.
a movie.
But
like-
if you have it all overdubbed, then it also that helps it feel like it's like from an alien world, which I
Yeah.
like. Anything that has the otherness to it is appealing to me.
It's appealing to me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have that appeal, like that sort of otherness, outsider kind of vibe.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I mean, or I don't know, but I guess it's kind of like you make a sub world. It's like you make it's like a subculture, right?
Yeah.
Because you make a sub world where you get to make your own world up. It's a sub world.
Mm-hmm. Is it like? Yeah. I was gonna make a Subway sandwich joke, but then I just left it on the table.
Subway
Fuck
sandwich.
that. Did Jessica Simpson ever get in touch with you about that song?
Oh, okay. Well,
Because that's a beautiful song.
Well,
and it's a loving song, even though it's kind of like there is a slight diss in it. But
Yeah.
But I wondered if she ever got.
she had an. I mean,
Her
I heard.
lawyer-
No, I mean,
her lawyer got in
I heard.
touch.
I heard that she had heard it. But it was really just a song. I made the song based on a picture that I had seen of her. And it was like a magazine. Like I just saw a picture, and so I made up like my own fantasy about what. I knew that she was sort of like I guess like kind of, I don't know, evangelical or like kind of like I don't know, maybe kind of right wing like pop singer. Like I didn't really know exactly. My impression was like she was sort of like like a George Bush voting pop singer.
All right.
Like I don't know, that was my impression of her.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that's true. Maybe it was never true. I mean, I didn't know anything about her, and the song is really just a fantasy.
Yeah. It's cool. It's a good song.
Thank you.
All right.
What is this?
We have a card picking section,
Okay.
which is like got a questions. I just got this deck. Sometimes we do like.
We usually do this on helium, but we don't have the helium here today.
Okay. Do I read mine yet or no?
Yeah.
You read yours if
okay.
you want to.
Okay, so mine says, "How does singing make you feel?" Are these actually music cards or?
No, they're just
Oh.
they're just random
Complete.
questions.
Oh, it feels like it's like. Okay, well, singing makes me feel like relaxed. I think you know what I mean. Like I think honestly, like I find it to be soothing to sing, and that's
Yeah.
like I find myself drawn to making up songs because
Yeah.
because there's something soothing about like vibrating my body to the point that it gets
Yeah.
kind of relaxed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
When did you start singing?
Really young. I mean, Moldy Peaches was my old band.
Right.
That's actually that was my middle school or high school band or whatever.
Oh, for real?
Yeah,
With
it was.
same band members.
Well, Kimya, who was my partner in the Moldy
Yeah.
Peaches, she was she lived in my town. She's a bit older than me. People don't realize that Kimya's 9 years older than me. So
Oh, I didn't know that.
yeah, but she was already like, she was already
An
kind of like
adult.
a veteran of my town. She was like working at the record store. And
So it's
I
kind
was
of
like,
awesome that you got in a band with somebody that was already a veteran, right?
yeah, it was cool.
That
Like
was
she
cool,
was like of drinking age.
Yeah.
I was like a teenager. It was cool.
Yeah.
But like it was interesting because but as we grow older, the age difference is less and less. It's like
now it's like you're the same age.
Yeah.
But so did she kind of mentor your musical development in any kind of way, or was it?
Definitely. I mean, I think like lyrically, because I'm really lucky that Kimia was from my town, because she's like.
What town was that?
It was from Mount Kisco, New York.
Oh, okay.
She lived in Bedford Hills, which is
so
a town.
so unique.
Yeah, like I mean, she's like a total genius. Like, and I was like so lucky to just basically like, I mean, if you're gonna bump into one person that works at a record store and it's her, and then we started.
Seems like
a band
two geniuses got together in a weird town.
She was really.
How
inspiring.
did you guys get together?
We were there was an open mic it was a school open mic. It was a art center.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went to the open mic, and she read some poetry about like being a sad person. I played some song that was probably like Nirvana ripoff, like a Beck
I did a lot of those.
Yeah, and then
I have albums with those on,
dude. And then she was like, I remember coming to the store, and she was like, "Are you that kid that?" that did that, and I was like, yeah. And so then I brought my guitar because I was working as the wipe down table kid at Pizza Pizzazz.
I think they call that a bus boy.
Yeah, I was the bus boy, and I was working the arcade. I brought over like some stuff, and we just started writing songs in the record store.
Wow.
And then so then I was like, you want to come over to my house? I have a 4-track. I have and we just started going.
And then that was the Moldy Peaches.
Yeah, we just started. We recorded some of the stuff that's on the album. The album is the album is all home recorded. It's just a collection of the best things that we did between maybe when I was about like 13 or 14 to when I was 19.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was.
So when you got that first tour with the Strokes, that was like right off that first album?
Yeah, that was done at that point. That was the Moldy Peaches was we were just I met Albert. I was working at a clothes store called Rags A Go-Go, which is like I know that. Is that in the city? Yeah, they still have one on 14th Street.
Yeah.
I was working there. He came in.
Is that on First?
This one was on St. Mark's Place.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, between First and Second.
Okay.
Yeah. And so I was. Oh no, sorry, it was on 7th between First and Second.
Oh, okay.
So he just came in there and we started talking. We were like, we gave each other flyers for our thing, and then I guess they had a show at Mercury Lounge, and he asked me to open it, and so I took Kimia, and we like played a Moldy Peaches set, and this was like the the beginning of this huge thing that we didn't realize was happening.
Yeah.
And so like all of a sudden, like just playing a show at the Mercury Lounge at that time, people were like, like wanted to sign you or write articles about you, and we just we signed to the same record label as the Strokes, and we were managed to Rough Trade. Yeah. We were managed by the same managers, Ryan Gentles.
Oh, that's cool.
So then we went over to England, and that was amazing for us. Like going to London, we were like, we got like recognized on the street.
Right.
We thought that was amazing.
That is amazing.
Yeah.
NME was writing about you and all that kind of stuff.
The labels had money back then to
It's crazy. Yeah, I mean, when you think about it, I mean, like a video shoot or something, like you used to spend as much on a video that would be more than what anyone would give you for the album. Yeah. Now.
Yeah. Yeah, I love the Strokes as well. They're like they've aged really well as a band too.
Yeah, I just saw them play at in England. I saw them play at Victoria Park. It was, it's great.
They just announced a New Year's show at Barclays Center.
Are they gonna? Oh, really? Let's go.
I'd love to.
Let's do that. I want to go. I hope they put out a new album.
I think that they will.
Their first album's still my favorite.
Yeah. I mean, they have. It's a
Harmar
was
on that same tour.
Harmar was he was on that tour. He wasn't on the leg that we were on because he was he was opening at a different.
Opener.
Yeah, he was I met Harmar around that time, I think I met him at NYU. We played a show at NYU. That was funny. But Harmar is like, and
he's in Aladdin.
Yeah, I mean, he's one of my best friends, and I mean, he's like, he's just so amazingly creative.
Heartbones.
Heartbones.
Oh yeah, Heartbones. Yeah.
I think I saw you at that show.
Oh yeah,
I was at that show.
Oh yeah. That was really, really cool.
It was really good. Yeah,
they
did it in the round, and everyone was dancing around.
That's hard to pull off, to have, for people who don't know. Like we basically saw Harmar's new band play
Heartbones,
Heartbones. They played around a circle stage, and everyone was standing around in a circle stage. So, as a performer, how do you even know where to look or what to do? And they basically had to handle it as if they were like hosting a big party, like a bar mitzvah or something. Like they had to like basically dance like and get everyone to like do conga lines and everything, because like we had
and
a
everybody
circle,
did it,
and everyone did it because
New Yorkers aren't that cool, man. We all were dancing around the stage, or actually that makes us cool. That's why we're cool.
But if anyone can get people, I mean, actually, and Sabrina as well, because she was great. And but Harmark can get anyone to dance.
Yeah, he comes at it with such a like a open, just unassuming but also confident energy. It's a very strange mix of a human being. Like, yeah. I was really happy we were on some show. I was singing backups on a Harmar song, and it was a Jimmy Fallon show. Oh, okay. And Jimmy Fallon introduced Harmar and gave me the warmest introduction. Like, said he was like a legend of indie rock, and I just thought it was great. I just thought like I think everyone feels that way about Harmar. I do. I think he's great. Yeah. He's got the key to the city in Minneapolis, which is like, dude. I was with Harmar in Minneapolis, and we went to we go to a diner, free breakfast. Really? Yeah, like I mean, yeah. Just because I'm kidding. Yeah. Harmar, he's like he's he's if you're in Minneapolis with him, it's like that's a very special experience. I can't wait. I hope that happens to me one day. Hey, but the Moldy Peaches, the first album you guys did, a lot of it was on 4-track cassette. Yeah, that 4-track and 8-track. And 8-track, all cassette? Yeah, there was the 8-track is a Tascam, and the 4-track was a Yamaha. MT50 is what I want to say. That's what my brain says. That was great. I mean, it's so funny because now you can have that on your phone. I mean, it's the same technology that everyone has. But it doesn't sound like. But the cassette tape does something to it. Like it makes it sound. It does sound kind of cool. Because I got a band with Peter Buck, and we're making our second record. That's crazy. Right now. Yeah, it's called Arthur Buck, and Jackknife Lee's mixing it with this guy Matt Bishop, and they're doing all of the mixes like on VHS or on cassette or anything like this. Like really like making it sound like a replacements record, like they're making it sound fucked up on purpose, and it's like we're getting the mixes back, and it's like, oh my god, this is awesome. Right. Oh yeah, that was on a VHS, and like they're mixing down onto that and stuff like that. When I was recording with Noah Georgeson, who I recorded my other albums with, he was able to get a lot of really, really, I mean, what do you call it, analog sounding effects that were like, I don't exactly know what he was using, but I mean, obviously, like Lauren, who I recorded my new record with. As I was saying, he was really using tapes, and that's why it sounds that way. But you can, like as I saw with Noah, that you can get those sounds to some degree on digitally if you're chasing it. That's true. I mean, I think it's complicated. I think you need to. They got good plugins now. I mean, it's like, what do you think about cameras like with like filters? Like, can you tell the film? Well, for example, or not? Like you mentioned with the iPhone, I gotta say it's. Yeah, you're talking about that, like the new app. It looks everything with looks that shoots like 8mm and 60mm. It looks really real. I know. And at the end of the day, I mean, if you're looking for a feeling, then I mean, if you can get that feeling, however you get it, I think that's probably it makes sense. But that's crazy though. You're in a band with Peter Buck. Wow. Yeah, that was one of my first concerts. REM. Yeah. Oh, Joe really? Opened for REM. What tour was that? Around the Sun in Europe. Wow. I opened up like 10 shows at these arenas by playing a solo. How? That's crazy. How did that happen? I never asked you that. How'd you get the gig? Oh, because because Peter Buck used to come to my shows when I would come through Seattle. He would come to like my gigs, and then so you were friends before? We became friends, yeah. And then they just asked me to open up the tour, and then that's wild. That's a crazy email to get. Yeah, it was really, really good. Really intimidating. Was that a phone call or an email? It wasn't a phone call or an email. I can't remember actually. Probably. Or it probably came through my manager, to be honest. I don't really know. It was so long ago now. It was like 2006. I do remember this. I was drinking back then, and they're a fun band to hang out with and drink with, or they were. Yeah. Like Peter's pretty sober now, and I am sober, but I wasn't then. And like there was lots of wine and stuff, and the last gig was in Italy, and I have don't remember being on stage with them at all. I would like, cause I would play their last song with them, like
Wow.
a couple songs, and I have no recollection of. But it happened, and then I went all the way home. I like woke up at like 4 a.m. Like this tour manager guy knocking on my door. It's like, you got to go. I went to it like through the airport in Italy or something like that. I walked by these dogs, all this other stuff. Got all the way home, get all the way to New York, go through security and everything, and I'm like I look like a train wreck because I was it was just blasted basically.
Right. Do you remember if was everything okay?
Well, I didn't know too. Like, so I'm like flying with all that doubt of like, what did I do? Did I fuck up? Like, you know what I mean? It was such a weird way to end a whole great experience like that. Yeah, it turns out everything's fine. Like, we're in a band together now, but it's like I get all the way home back, and I was living in Dumbo at the time. I get to my Dumbo apartment, and I like reach in my pocket, and I pull out a big chunk of hash, like in cellophane. I had no recollection.
No way.
Getting it. I didn't even remember how I got it.
And you were going through the airport.
And I went all the way through like an Italian airport, all the way through customs, looking like a wreck, looking like you should definitely flag this person.
Pocket.
You should, And I was like, so it was like this weird mix of feelings. Like at first it was just like, oh no. And then it was like, oh hell yeah, now I have hash and I'm in New York, which is really...
Those dogs don't do shit, right?
Yeah, I guess it was for bombs. It must have been for bombs. I don't know.
I always feel like that. Like I feel like the dog. I feel like they'll bark for the wrong reason.
Yeah, I don't know, but I got lucky with that one. But what time is it?
Adam's got to go in 10 minutes. Yeah.
All right, I want to read this card.
Okay,
imagine yourself in the future. What will your greatest life accomplishment be? Wow, that's heavy. Imagine yourself.
Your legacy.
Man, I hope it is like just helping people identify toxic behavior in their life and coming to terms with it and just not being thwarted by
like themselves or something.
By themselves or by other people. I hope that's my...
I was thinking about like this, because my friend had a phrase about like it's called like self-limiting behavior.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I don't want to like, use that to enable people to be like psychopaths or something, but it does seem like, a lot of times you think about some future idea you want to do and then you make up some reason why you can't do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or like, and it's just silly. It's like, oh, you can't do that because you have this other hang up that has nothing to do with, you know what I mean? Like, would you continue having that hang up if you knew that it was going to like prevent you from doing what you want to do with your life,
Yeah, exactly.
But
that is so true. Like it's like you are worried about what other people are going to think or how you're going to affect other people, when in truth I think you just really have to like live and speak your truth and understand that it's like, I don't know, just not be afraid.
Yeah, like but it's it's easier said than done. I mean,
definitely.
people do they do have periods in their life where you try to test it a little bit. You see, can I go a little further in these directions, like than I have gone before, what are my fears? Can I try to conquer some of them? You know what I mean? And it's good to check in with yourself. It's almost like, having a hand outside the machine, like if you don't have anything that's course correcting you, if you don't try to have a bird's eye view on yourself and you don't know yourself, you just end up like, you're going to eventually putter out and stop, if you don't have someone. You know what I mean? Like a machine without anyone to give it fuel, anyone to guide the machine to something.
Yeah.
It's just eventually going to just, either run out of gas or just fall off a cliff.
Yeah. I have the same. This reminds me of this thing, because you know what metacognition is?
No.
Metacognition is like the only what humans can do that animals can't. It's like what we can do is like okay, I'm afraid, and then you can say, who's afraid, and then you can say who's asking who's afraid, and you can keep up leveling your perception. Right. So you become the witness of your thoughts rather than just identifying as these really endless succession of thoughts. And then that's like the point of meditation, is that you practice like almost going to the gym, but for your mind or whatever, becoming the witness of your thoughts. Right. And I was like thinking about this while I was running, was like when you're as the witness of your thought, or like when you're in your thoughts, identifying as your thoughts, then you're in the remote control car, and your subconscious is holding the remote.
Right.
But if you're the witness of your thoughts, then you're holding the remote, and you can like guide your sort of like what you're kind of saying, guide the machine without falling off a cliff.
Right. It's like lucid thinking or something, like lucid. What do they call it? Lucid dreaming, where you guide your dreams.
Or just like when you like witnessing your thoughts, because like if you think you are your thoughts, then you're like liable to take them seriously.
Right.
You
right.
know what
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Whereas if you're witnessing your thoughts, you can be kind of like, really, bro? Like there's another voice that can come in and be like, nah, I think you might have that wrong. Why don't you try again? You know?
Right.
You can almost self-parent or course correct.
Yeah. But it's all because self-parenting is almost like I feel like related to the idea that there's sort of these different mechanisms that run your consciousness. You know what I mean? Like they're called like super ego or something. I don't exactly know what they're called, but
the genie.
But you know that idea of having a super ego or having different parts that you know that govern who you are, like that. There's like a disciplining yourself or something. You know. But it's cool to think that you know that you are you know many different things, you know, and it's almost like sometimes it feels like reality is like many different cameras or something, like you sometimes you get camera 1, sometimes you get camera 2, you know, and depending on how you're looking at it, you know, sometimes there's like a little bit of, you know, let's say you feel like really down, and then all of a sudden your one part of your personality gives your other part a little boost or something, you know what I mean? It's almost like it gives it when you're damaged, your other part of your personality repairs your other part of your personality. You know what I mean?
If you can identify as the director rather than camera 1 or camera 2.
Right.
But like that's the metacognition is the director, like
becoming the director,
the witness becoming the director. So because so many people think they're camera 2.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, that's a good point.
But they're not. They're the director. Or there's a part of us that's unchanging throughout our whole life, like from when we were like a little kid, like till now. That's like that unchanging aspect of us, consciousness.
Right.
Or whatever.
Yeah, it's weird because it's almost like, is that your interior landscape, like, or are you like mainly just the things that you have in common with the previous incarnations of yourself? You know, is that the definition of who you are the most?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know, because are you the same as you were?
Yeah.
And like how are you? What about you? How would you answer that? What would you want to be? Like, imagine yourself in the future. What will your greatest accomplishment be?
I don't know.
You don't know?
Maybe Aladdin, because I feel like it involves such a community of people, so it's kind of like a bigger than me thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
listen, if that is your greatest accomplishment, man, it's a job well done.
Thanks.
Like, seriously, I'm that big a fan of it, and the music with it and everything. I think everyone needs to definitely do yourself a favor and check that out.
My greatest accomplishment is standing right next to you.
I knew you.
That's the right answer.
That's a good answer. And you beat us all.
Before we close, when is the new album coming out? What's next for you? Tour, etc.
Yeah, like I'm gonna go put out September 6th. I've got the comic book, the graphic novel War in Paradise is coming out, and there's an album called Engine of Paradise is coming out.
Cool.
So that's they're both coming out the same day, and so War in Paradise, you can download it. Probably, I think it's going to be as a free PDF that people can download, and also there's going to be a physical book is going to be issued by Pioneer Works.
That's great.
And then the album is coming out on it's called 30th Century Records. It's my new record label, which is a record label that's owned by Danger Mouse.
Wow.
So it's been really pretty neat, and it's been great being on this label.
That's like what's good about it.
Yeah. What's good about it?
Yeah.
Oh my God, this label is so like they let artists do what they want. It's amazing.
Wow.
Like they're the opposite. They're just like kind of like, okay, you know, time to make a video, time to put do you have cover art? It's like all the things that you want to do as an artist. Like they've let me like be kind of just,
totally
just deciding
it.
Yeah, it's been really really neat.
30th Century.
I guess because it's run by an artist, so it's been a cool label.
Do the songs go together with the graphic novel?
They do and they don't. They're thematically intertwined, because I was writing all the writing is the same time. You know what I mean? Like I was writing all this stuff, the lyrics of the songs. I was writing the same time as the script to the comic. So you'll see repeated lines, but you don't have to read the graphic novel to understand the album, and vice versa. It's like you could, either would be fine.
Why,
But the thing is, I originally did think the comic was going to be a movie. I thought that that War in Paradise was going to be a paper mache war epic, and that this was going to be the soundtrack. You were going to do
another one, like a kind of follow-up.
No, interestingly enough, to not make it a movie made me do a graphic novel, and that's something I've never done before. So in a way, I'm glad that I got to have a new experience.
Yeah, I think you're headed towards Broadway probably with some of
Broadway. That's that'd be fun. But sometimes I think about Broadway shows. It seems so stressful because you have to get it right every night.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? There's so many things that could go wrong, and at least like if you make a movie, like they only have to. You have to get it right that one time.
Straight to St. Anne's instead.
Well, it doesn't have to be Broadway, but you know what I mean, kind of like musical theater.
If you had a restaurant and you have to basically if somebody likes the burger at Corner Bistro and they have to make it like that in
Best
10 years,
burger.
it's amazing. Yeah. But I'm saying if I go there and it doesn't taste like that anymore,
Not
then
on an off day.
But then I'm done. I'm saying it's like you have to get it right every night.
Yeah,
it's a production.
That's why we're damned to have to get it right every night.
Yeah.
Dude, thank you for coming on the podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
You're such a good guest, man.
Oh, come on.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Dude. All right. I guess that's that, right?
Yeah, fantastic.
Do we have any other questions?
What website, adamgreen.com, Facebook,
it's adamgreen.net, I think.
Info.
Or .info. That's what I'm a .info guy now. There's this guy who owns adamgreen.com. He doesn't want to give it to me.
Carmen, what about you? Got any questions? One last question? Come on, one more question. Just a random one.
What do you got?
Nothing. Oh, do you like dogs?
I do like dogs, yes.
I have a doggy. He's so cute. He's a white Cavachon, and his name is Louie.
Oh, that's so cute.
For Lou.
Is he a big dog or
no? He's a little dog, and actually, he is named after Lou. So that's
it all comes full circle.
What's he like? What's his personality like?
He's sometimes he could be rough and playful, but not rough like a big dog. Rough like a playful dog, like that kind of.
Oh, that's a good way to be rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, just loving rough.
He's a sweet dog.
All right.
Hi, Louie.
Thanks.
Shout out to Louie.
You.
Shout out, Louie. All right. Thanks, Adam.
Bye-bye.
Hi, this is Joseph Arthur. Thanks for checking out Come to Where I'm From. Please support us on Patreon, patreon.com/come-to-where-I'm-from. We are an independent podcast, and any contributions you can make are greatly appreciated.